On a beautiful hot fall day, I drove to Star Drive Laboratories. Today was special. The Snark Hunter 3 space probe would send its last message from Alpha Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. The Times newspaper had sent me to write about it. Inside there was coffee and donuts. All kinds of people stood around, shaking hands and talking. Pretty secretaries walked quickly through the crowd. I saw people I'd met 2 months ago when I was last here. I also spotted someone I only knew from photos. Jubal Hendricks, Sr. He had run Star Drive Labs 30 years ago when they launched Snark Hunter Fakhtars 3. He'd retired right after that, but here he was today, thin and shaky, to watch his project's final moment. I walked toward the coffee table. A man everyone called Butch saw me and poured me a cup. He was 5 feet tall with dark brown skin and short, bright blonde hair. "So good to see you again, Mr. Lane." He shook my hand hard. "You remember me, right?" "Of course, Butch. Very well." I couldn't remember his full name, but nobody could, and I noticed nobody else wanted to talk to him. "How have you been?" "Very well, Mr. Lane, except for my allergies. I've been getting shots." "They seem to be working," I said. Last time I saw him, his nose had been running constantly. "Your English has gotten better too." He laughed, a little embarrassed. "It's almost 8 o'clock. Should we go into the—" His tongue got stuck and he had to point. "The auditorium? Yes, let's go." 2 months ago, we'd been here to catch the first signals from Snark Hunter to Sangda 3 as it entered the area around Alpha Centauri. The probe had been flying through space since before I was born. That was its first message since leaving our solar system. It had turned itself on exactly on schedule and told us the sizes and locations of the planets circling those distant stars. Because light takes so long to travel, we couldn't control the Snark Hunter from Earth. The probe had been programmed to pick the planet most likely to be like Earth and fly toward it. We had named that planet Centaura even before we knew it existed. 30 years ago, when we only knew the Centauri stars had planets, Centaura was real. We knew that now. For the last 2 months, the Snark Hunter should have been flying toward it. The auditorium hadn't changed much. Star Drive Labs uses this same building for all the news announcements about all the probes they have flying through space. But none of those probes had done anything interesting since the Snark Hunter's last report. There were 70 chairs with ashtrays attached to the backs, all facing a lit screen. The screen showed a map of where the Snark Hunter should be compared to planet Centaura. Arrows pointed toward Earth and toward Alpha Centauri A. Of course, the map was 4.3 years old because light takes that long to reach us. Hanging from the ceiling were 8 TV screens, each showing a diagram of the Alpha Centauri A system. In one corner was a blank white sphere 8 feet across, with a clear plastic curved line mounted near it. That was new. Butch pointed. "That curve shows the path the Snark Hunter will take. Mr. Hendricks, Jr., told me they'll draw the continents on the sphere as the information arrives." "Makes sense," I said. We found seats. I forced myself not to smoke since that was one of Butch's allergies. Time crawled. I gulped my coffee. I'd woken up at 6 in the morning for the first time in years. My eyes felt sticky. My mouth felt ancient. Most of the seats were empty. Even considering what was happening, the lack of excitement was amazing. On screen were a blank circle, a curved line, a couple of arrows, and a small box showing the time left until perihelion, the closest point to the planet. The box changed every 5 minutes, and a new dot appeared on the curve, showing where the Snark Hunter was now. Every so often, a fuzzy radio voice echoed through the room. "I'm amazed," Butch said passionately, "to think it traveled so far." "Do you think it will do what it's supposed to?" "Like you said, it's made it this far." "I can't understand why there's so little excitement." He really couldn't, could he? "It's partly because of the time delay," I said. "Who can get excited about old news?" "I guess so. Still, so much depends on whether this works." "My cup's empty. Want some coffee?" "Oh no, thank you." I went out and refilled my cup, then stayed in the front room to smoke a cigarette. Things were happening too slowly. The probe had been traveling for 30 years, but these last few hours as it circled Centaura felt endless. Maybe Butch was getting on my nerves. Not his fault, of course. He was always polite. You couldn't argue with his excitement. It was real. It just felt like a joke, and I had to stay with him. Butch's reactions were much bigger news than the snark hunter itself. I spent 10 minutes by the coffee machine, waiting to interview people. It was the one sure place to find anyone you needed to see. I caught Hendricks Sr. and Hendricks Jr., Markham, who had launched the snark hunter, Duryodhana, who ran the project now, and several others. Butch couldn't stand coffee, so what had he been doing out here by the coffee machine? Just what I was doing, obviously, waiting for people to talk to him, and nobody wanted to. I was heading back to my seat when the radio cleared its throat. "We are receiving the signal from Snark Hunter. Snark Hunter has found the sun and is sending correctly. Repeat, it found us successfully. We are now receiving from Snark Hunter." The air filled with a two-tone musical sound, the carrier wave, low and sweet. Butch was hugging his knees with joy. "Wonderful! What's it telling them? Why doesn't he say?" "The Snark Hunter isn't saying anything yet," I told him. "I'd learned this from my interviews. It's just a signal to alert us." "What kind of signal is the probe using?" "A light beam, a ruby laser. Hear that musical tone? That's the laser changed into sound and lowered so we can hear it." The dot on the screen moved another step. 10 minutes until perihelion. The radio voice said, "We've received our first burst of information from Snark Hunter. The makeup of Centaura's air is as follows: oxygen 16%, nitrogen 83%. It continued listing carbon dioxide, rare gases, water vapor, ozone, air pressure at the surface, and the planet's temperature and magnetic field." Butch hugged his knees and made happy sounds. "Marvelous," he said. "Marvelous. From such a distance. How sensitive the instruments are, how versatile. To me it all feels like a letdown." "I'm afraid that's my fault. I'm sorry. The radio saved me from having to answer. We're now decoding Snark Hunter's transmission. In a few minutes we should have a rough map of Centaura's surface." It added, "Snark Hunter is about to pass behind the planet. It will reach perihelion 3 minutes later." The auditorium became silent. I made a shushing motion at Butch. We heard only the musical sound of the signal. The sound cut off suddenly. "It won't come back," Butch said sadly. "That's a shame. It was programmed to take another set of measurements at perihelion. They would have been a little more accurate." The dot on the screen moved one more step, to its closest point to Centaura. "Is that where you shot it down?" "Yes, at perihelion," said Butch. "How were we supposed to know it wasn't dangerous? We wouldn't have believed it was even possible. An instrument package with no outside control, finding its way across such a distance." He stood up. "A remarkable achievement. Remarkable to have done so much with so little." "Thanks," I said. "Thanks for the pat on the head." "So you'll go ahead with the trade?" "I'll have to wait," said Butch, "to see if your map of our world is accurate. So far your measurements have been excellent. Unbelievably good. If your map is just as good, we have a deal. We'll trade you our faster-than-light engine for your incredible probes. Together we'll explore space." "Fine." I had what I came for. I stood to leave. "It's been a lonely year," said Butch. "I don't think I knew why until now. Mr. Lane, please don't be offended. Did my landing a year ago make your people think their own technology was inferior? Of course. Why wouldn't it? Our pathetic little probe took 30 years to reach Centaura. Your ship took 6 months, and here you are, like the ghost at the banquet." "Oh, damn. I'm sorry, Butch, I lost my temper. And so you all avoid me. But my own people felt the same way when your probe reached us 4.3 years ago. Our faster-than-light drive was one lucky discovery. Your probe was the result of centuries of focused, incredibly expensive work and experiments. We're in awe. We're not capable of such long-term, steady effort, but you can't believe that, can you?" I couldn't, and I still can't. The twist. Butch is an alien from Alpha Centauri. He arrived on Earth a year ago in a faster-than-light spaceship, while humanity's probe took 30 years to reach his planet. Both species are amazed by what the other accomplished. Humans by the aliens' advanced travel, and aliens by humanity's incredible patience and determination in building probes that work perfectly across vast distances in time.